You ever try to comfort someone with, God is in control, and immediately feel like a liar? Like the words come out of your mouth and your soul throws up in protest. Because if God's in control, then what the hell is this? A burning planet? A genocide in the headlines? A diagnosis with no cure? The death of a child? A car crash that wasn't supposed to happen? So either God's not in control, or we've been sold a theology that's allergic to honesty. So today, let's ask the dangerous question. What if God is not in control? And what if that's actually the most faithful thing we can believe? I'm Theology Jack, your guide in exploring life's biggest questions and mysteries. Somewhere along the way, we got this idea that God is like the CEO of the universe, sitting in a control tower with blinking lights and a clipboard, micromanaging outcomes like a divine air traffic controller. Every bird that falls, every cell that mutates, every nation that rises or falls, it's all part of the plan. But let's be real, that doesn't feel like a plan. That feels like chaos rebranded. And the only way to make it sound comforting is to slap a smiley face on it and say, we just don't understand God's ways. Ah, yes, the divine mystery that somehow requires children to die and dictators to thrive. Hard pass. Here's the problem. We've confused sovereignty with control. And in doing so, we've painted God into a corner. Either God's all-controlling and therefore responsible for every horror, or God's weak and irrelevant. But what if that's a false choice? What if power doesn't mean control? What if love can't control? Because here's the twist. The God revealed in Jesus doesn't dominate, doesn't manipulate, doesn't force. Jesus doesn't call fire down from heaven on his enemies. He washes their feet. He hangs on a cross. He says, forgive them, not smite them. And you want me to believe that God is pulling every string behind the scenes like a celestial chess master? Please. Jesus subverts the whole power game. And maybe that's the point. Because love that controls is just coercion with a halo. Real love lets go. Real love takes the risk. And if God is love, then God must be the most non-controlling being in existence. Which brings us to the book of Job. You know, the one where everything goes wrong and Job's friends line up with bad theology to say, this must be God's will. And God shows up at the end like, yeah, none of you spoke rightly about me. Oops. Or take Jesus weeping over Jerusalem saying, how I long to gather you, but you were not willing. That's divine heartbreak. That's not divine control. If God could force the right outcome, why not just do it? But that's not how love works. Love invites. It doesn't override. Love hopes. It doesn't guarantee. Which means that God isn't controlling every detail. God is responding to a world that's genuinely free. And that freedom, it's terrifying because it means terrible things can happen. It means choices matter. It means God doesn't swoop in to stop every disaster. But it also means something else. You're not a puppet. Your life is not a script. And God is not a tyrant in a holy hoodie whispering, trust the plan while the world burns. God is the one weeping beside you. God's the voice screaming, this is not how it's supposed to be, right along with yours. God is the love in the rubble, the breath in the breakdown, the whisper that says, I'm still here. even when the plan has fallen apart. Control is tidy. Love is messy. And God chose love, not power, not dominance, not certainty, but presence. So yeah, maybe God's not in control. And maybe that's exactly what makes God worth loving. Because a God who refuses to coerce is a God who can be trusted. A God who doesn't override your freedom or anyone else's is a God who's not just holy, but humble. And let's be real, it takes more power to stay present in pain than it does to press the reset button. And that's what Jesus does. That's what the cross is. Not some weird divine business transaction, but the ultimate act of solidarity with a world out of control. Jesus doesn't stop the storm. He sleeps in the boat. Jesus doesn't end the empire. He dies under it. Jesus doesn't control the world. He loves it. So maybe stop looking for the God who's in control. Start looking for the God who's in love. Because in the end, that's what saves us. Not the plan, not the control, but the love that refuses to let go. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading everything and might even include your ideas in a future video. And a quick reminder, click like just to be cool. And hey, if this is your kind of stuff, hit subscribe for more. It helps me so much. Let's map ideas that can change the world together. Thanks for watching till the end, fellow explorers. Stay curious and embrace the mystery. This is Theology Jack, signing off.